So welcome to another episode of the Blip Pod. Today we're going to be talking about the Martez Sisters arc of Clone Wars, which I don't know about you. Oh yeah, I'm Nolan.
I'm Joey.
I almost forgot our names. This was definitely people and everyone on the internet has said this. I forgot about the intro theme. Ready? Intro theme. 3, 2, 1. Intro. Yeah, so no, I think this is clearly the worst arc out of relatively speaking, but clearly the weakest arc out of season 7.
I think this is probably one of my least favorite arcs out of the entire series of Clone Wars. Hot take. Maybe not hot take.
Here's the only thing that kind of launches me above certain episodes of. Side note, I was recently rewatching the first couple seasons of Clone Wars. My girlfriend's watching Clone Wars right now, so I'm kind of reliving it for the first time. So I'm kind of reliving some of the episodes. Some of the first 2 seasons, they do have a couple misfire episodes. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's the first 2 seasons are probably the weakest out of all of them.
Yeah,
but there's still a lot of good content within that.
So I think even though people are like, oh, the Martez Sisters are clearly, it's like the worst arc, blah, this is a waste of time. This is totally my opinion, take what you will. I don't think it's the bottom of the barrel for Clone Wars. People seem to hate them, but I'm like, we've definitely had worst episodes. I've recently rewatched Bomb Bad Jedi, and nothing against Jar Jar Binks or C-3PO, but together, they are a nightmare. Apart, they're sort of dealable. Together, I was like, why am I watching this?
Yeah, no, I don't think that it's the worst arc ever. It was just definitely low on the list out of the entire series. But that's mostly why it's not, at the worst. It's just because of Ahsoka. Ahsoka is probably the only thing that made that arc bearable to watch.
You know what and multiple people have said this felt like the Solo of Clone Wars to a little bit of an extent. They deal with a bunch of crime bosses, they deal with the Pikes.
The Spice.
You see all that stuff. They even have Darth Maul show up as a hologram at one point, and in the end they get captured and go to something much more interesting.
I also think it was kind of like a tease or a reference to Solo about showing him already with the Pikes as running the Spice game as he is in Solo.
I like Solo, and I wish in this arc kind of proved to me, because even though it was weak, I would really like to see more. Because the Martez Sisters get caught up with the Pikes and the whole Red Sun and everything, the gangs, it kind of showed me that I would really like to see a little more of the pre-Empire or maybe beginning Empire underworld, because when the Empire starts out, obviously the underworld run by Maul is running rampant, and this kind of 4-episode arc was a good show of the Jedis are obviously dealing with this, but everyone else is stuck in a crapper with Maul basically running their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So, I thought, all in all, I didn't mind it. Wasn't my favorite.
It's just, I feel like the reason why people hate it more than, they think it's worse than it actually is because we know that the Mandalore in Order 66 arc is right after, so we just wanted that so bad that we just had no intention of watching that. If that arc happened earlier in the series, or we didn't know what was happening after, people might have been liked it a little bit more and enjoyed it because they didn't want to rush through it because they didn't know what was happening after that. So I think that was the biggest factor of why people didn't like it as much, because they just wanted that big A+ content that they were supposed to get.
I also think a problem was they released, I don't know if you've seen all of these, but they released all the original, when Clone Wars was originally canceled, they released the final season, the storyboards and kind of base animations for it, and one of the original arcs that got replaced by the Martez Sisters was Boba Fett versus Cad Bane, in which they have a bounty hunter duel, and Boba Fett kills Cad Bane, gets his Boba Fett outfit, and gets the ding in his helmet. And even though I understand why they needed some build-up for Ahsoka, so that the finale wouldn't just be, oop, all of a sudden, here's Ahsoka, we don't know what she's been doing, that would have been so cool in place of these sisters.
Well, the thing is, though, why I thought it would have been so cool to see, but him killing Cad Bane, I think a lot of fans wouldn't have liked it because so many people love Cad Bane, and he's probably one of the best bounty hunters in Star Wars universe.
Yeah,
and
true.
I understand that Boba Fett is supposed to be amazing too, but he's probably at that time he'd probably be like, he's still a teenager or a kid, and Cad Bane's this experienced bounty hunter who probably wouldn't lose to a kid even if it is Boba Fett too. I understand maybe if Boba Fett was older, but I would want to see this the biggest bounty hunter in the Clone Wars series die to a child.
Ironically, the reason that he loses is actually because Boba has Beskar steel on him. So he actually gets in the shot. But that's why, like Boba Fett always in the original trilogy has the ding in his helmet. That's actually Cad Bane shoots him in the head, but he's wearing Beskar steel. So I think that's a weird opportunity. They could have done... I mean, I would have loved even more Mandalorian kind of stuff instead of the Martez sisters. So it's weird that they chose that, but I also see they needed to introduce Ahsoka before the finale.
Yeah, true. We wouldn't want to... We want to see what... I guess it's understandable to see kind of what she was doing a little bit before, or in how she got to be with the Jedi again. So they needed to introduce her somehow. And it wasn't bad, because I understand what he was trying to do with having these two sisters living in, like,
living in the slums.
The underground of Coruscant, where everything's trash, and telling their stories about how their parents died and the Jedi. just basically more pushing the point that the Jedi aren't as great as they seem to be, and why Ahsoka left. That's kind of just pushing that point across even more than it has, and kind of more realization for Ahsoka. So I think that's just kind of like an interior part for her character that they were trying to do.
That was the funniest. I think, honestly, I kind of laughed, and I don't think they intended me to laugh, but when one of the Martez sisters, the older one, whose name escapes me right now, when she's like, oh, Jedi Luminara, when our parents died and our home exploded and we were orphans of tiny children on the street, she walked up to us and said, I'm so sorry, the Force will be with you, and walked away. I'm like, whoa, you guys are the government. You just, that's the equivalent of going up to someone and be like, peace be with you, after their entire family and their home gets nuked. And also, by the way, you are 12 on the streets of a giant a planet-wide city, and they're like, yes, the Force will guide you. I'm like, no, you will guide you. You have the money. But say I love you.
Yeah, that's not wrong. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. That's just I guess that's just pushing the fact that the Jedi actually don't care as much as they think, and they're just trying to they're kind of exploiting their power.
Also, I think it shows that their devotion to no commitment can actually also be a hindrance. Mm-hmm. Because it means they don't get emotionally connected enough to help people in a real way. But
yeah, that's also why I love Ahsoka so much, and how it even showed her questioning that in the second season or something like that. How she's like, I don't understand how we're supposed to be selfless and protect and put others before yourselves, but also not get attached or have feelings. That kind of contradicts their point, which I think is amazing.
Yeah.
And Ahsoka that's probably the best point any Jedi could bring up, and how no other Jedi's really question that much,
And that's a good point. That's actually, it now occurs to me that that's the one good thing the arc does, is it actually shows that these people who are basically, the Martez sisters are basically no one, but Ahsoka, for no other reason other than she feels bad and compassionate for them, goes on all these adventures to help them, even though it might end up bad for her because she has that compassion. So I guess in the long run, it did give Ahsoka some character arc.
And there was this nice little moment when they were leaving the planet, and they flew by Anakin, and that was the first time Anakin sensed Ahsoka since she left, and then it just gave you that nice slight little moment of them having that little connection, and then him letting her go. That was a nice moment they put in there.
That's also, I didn't realize this, but that's almost shot for shot the same thing when Darth Vader senses Luke on the TIE shuttle.
Yeah.
In the not Empire Strikes Back, freaking Return of the Jedi, and he does that whole kind of looks vaguely off into space, and then Luke's like, oh no, he senses me. I was like, that's a cool nod. This is Cool nods all around.
And then they went even further with that sensing and in the sequel trilogy with Rey and Kylo Ren, how they actually like see each other and they could actually interact with each other through the Force.
That would have made a lot of. We're not going to get into that one. We like the sequel trilogy. There are some plot holes. we'll cover it.
Like I said earlier, how I want to do an episode of how I would fix the sequels.
Yes, we will actually we'll do an episode that will be a little more kind of video essay, Star Wars theory on Joey's way to incorporate some of the older characters into the sequels and future material. I don't know, any final thoughts on the Martez Sisters?
I think I said my piece with them. I really don't have much other to say.
I have almost nothing to say about this arc. It's more about the Order 66 that I have a lot to say about. Side note, bring up Bombad Jedi. Here's a question for everyone listening. Should I do every single episode? This is actually more of a question for Joey because he might shoot me. Should I do every single episode in a Jar Jar Binks voice?
I think you could incorporate it a little bit, but not. I don't think. I think everyone would just tune out after.
I think so too.
10 seconds.
You're right. With that being said,
between Jar Jar Binks and Kiadi Mundi, I don't know what you want me to do here.
Okay, guys, this is wrapping up this episode and going on to the next arc. But if anyone has not realized, and this is going to be a recurring theme, Kiadi Mundi is the worst.
He's the downfall of the Jedi.
He's the worst. Dude is the worst.
Worst Jedi ever.
Worst Jedi ever.
At least he wasn't the most useless character like Coleman Trevor, but Coleman Trevor never did anything wrong. Kiadi Mundi did everything wrong.
That's what we should have done. Oh my goodness, that's what the Martez Sisters arc should have been. They should have got rid of the Martez Sisters and then brought in a team up where Ahsoka has to help Kiadi Mundi, and at the end, after she saved Kiadi Mundi's life and avenged the death of Coleman Trevor, Kiadi Mundi walks up, kicks her in the face, and just leaves, and you never see him again.
Oh man, we should have a poll. See if who people think the worst Jedi is, Kiadi Mundi or Coleman Trevor.
I don't know. I don't clap at Coleman Trevor's death, but every time I watch Revenge of the Sith, when Kiadi Mundi gets killed, I give a little whoop whoop.
I clap. I go from tears to a nice salute.
If we could get a movie where that's edited out, it would be much sadder. So that's
just make it like an hour-long edited version of just Kiadi Mundi dying over and over again on repeat
with the song "I Will Always Love You" playing over it.
Or we take every clip of when he did a bad thing or he did something stupid or he suggested something stupid, and then right after he says it or does it, we cut to him dying, and then it goes to the next scene of him doing something stupid, and then it cuts to him dying. He dies for every bad thing.
A fanned edit where he repeatedly, dude, we could put the song "Bad Guy" by Billie Eilish over the top, boom, 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 and every beat he gets shot.
Oh man.
So
that would probably be my favorite video.
Look forward to our magnum opus. Kiadi Mundi gets killed every time Billie Eilish goes boom. That's the dumbest thing I think I've ever said out loud, and that is saying a lot. So that's gonna wrap up this episode, this arc episode. I'm Nolan.
I'm Joey.
And we are the Blip Bros and Pod, and check us out on all the social medias, all the book faces and stuff. That's the popular media site Bookface, and Twitter and Instagram and stuff. And check in for our later episode, which will be going over a more in-depth episode, which will be going over the Mandalore and Order 66 arcs. And as always, I will sign us off in the iconic Jar Jar Binks voice.
Misa
hopes we'll be seeing you next week.